Morning, Greeley. This is the Locals Only podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Eklund, a local business person and real estate agent here in Greeley. And today we have the absolute privilege of having Dan Yetter on with us. He's the owner of Yetters Brewing Company downtown. And I just wanted to say a huge welcome to Dan and thanks for being on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Dan, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of your background, your history, and intro to who you are and what brought you to open your own brewing company?
Well, I started life out, my adult life out, as wanting to be a pastor, but the whole time, I mean, since I first tasted my first fat tire, I just loved the taste of craft beer, and since then, I've been home brewing, and my my career as a pastor was just a little overwhelming for me. I spent, about 15 years in that. And once I got done with that, I, I I started working for my parents on the farm, and then they recognized that that wasn't really where I wanted to be. So I went abroad to go teach English, and I ended up in Guatemala.
Oh, wow.
It was there in Guatemala that, at the time that I first started in Guatemala, there were no real craft breweries to speak of. By the time I left, there were many and very, very big ones.
Hmm.
And I was only there for about 5 years. Nonetheless, I opened the first craft brewery, although it wasn't exactly legal, in Guatemala. I had several partners. I learned a lot from a guy who had worked at Miller, at
Hmm.
just Miller at the time that he worked for them. And then I went on to learn a lot from a guy that had worked at Breckenridge Brewing Company in Breckenridge.
Okay.
And from there, I started my own brewery in Guatemala. It was in Antigua. And things didn't go all that well there, but I came back and I met a guy named Scott Pell, who owned Green Earth Brewing Company. And I started working for him for free. But the problem is that COVID hit pretty much, I want to say the day after, 2 days after he wanted me to come help him.
Oh, geez.
But I just kept showing up at his bar and cleaning the floors and doing whatever he wanted me to do.
Hmm.
And eventually that worked up enough at, equity that, and a little bit of money that I could buy the brewery from him. And so I did. And we saw a better opportunity over here on Ninth. We're on Ninth Avenue, and it was an old Subway before. And so my parents and I decided we would go ahead and buy this place. And then UNC came into a deal with us. So now we lease the equipment at the UNC brewery, and we do a lot of our brewing over there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you ended up buying the business then from Scott and then renamed it. Is that
Yeah, the name is sort of interesting. I mean, Yetters is, of course, well, we call it Yetters because my mom and my dad are involved,
okay?
and I'm involved. So it's Yetters Brewing Company, but that's not what I would have called it. But my father was very adamant about using his last name for something,
I
since
see.
I gave him no grandchildren. So,
He wanted some kind of legacy to live on.
well, we hope this becomes a legacy. Yes.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, COVID threw a wrench in a lot of different things, but I'm glad you've prevailed and are making a good go of this. So how long have you been uh at this location over on Ninth Street?
Not long, under a year, really. I mean, people ask me that. We did a very soft opening in July of last
Sure.
year, but we had all kinds of problems. Our air conditioning went out, our refrigerator went out. So we didn't do a grand opening until October.
Okay.
the first weekend of October of last year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and then I mean, getting it started, I imagine is quite the undertaking, all the logistical things and all the rest.
Well, we only moved a block away, about maybe a block and a half away at most, but yeah, it's still very few people had ever heard of Scott's brewery called Green Earth, and then
Yeah.
so Yetters is even a little bit more difficult. I get comments like that all the time. I had no idea that you guys were here, and we're about
Hmm.
a step and a half away from the main downtown activity. So
Sure. Sure. So talk to me a little bit about the beer that you guys brew there. What kind of makes that stand out? What kind of beer do you brew? You know, why should somebody come in and give you guys a taste?
quite honestly, we're a brewery that so our main goal is to become a lager house, and that's what we're working on very hard now is making more lagers. But point being, right now, um, we're more of an ale house. Well, I wouldn't say ale house. We have a lager on tap for sure, but and then several coming on the way. But what I would say is that we're more traditional. I mean, I have two breweries just down the street from me, most of them
Hmm.
within walking distance, that does the hazy thing extremely well. They do the sour things extremely well, and we are working on a sour. And I'll toot my own horn. I think I make a pretty good hazy. I just don't make it very often.
Yeah.
If you want like a traditional, I mean, my best selling beer is our Citra Pale Ale, and
Okay.
it's just a pale ale with 100% Citra hops are added to it. It's very light, very drinkable. We try to keep all of our alcohol percentages right around 5, maybe a little bit above 5. We do some specialty beers that are going to be higher than that, but that's if you want that. But this is the kind of place you come with a group of friends, or maybe just one friend, or maybe by yourself. I have tons of people who do that, and you're ready to drink maybe 2 or 3 and go home and be able to drive just fine and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have plenty of seating and it's conducive for people to come in and have drinks, I assume.
Yeah, we have a very nice little upper. Well, our main floor is really nice. We have, I think, one of the coolest bars in all of Greeley.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, the tree came from my grandpa's farm, and then you'll have to come see it. But
Yeah,
it's
I
a
will.
beautiful thing. And then we do have a patio, which I'm really really happy about. And then we have a downstairs game room, which is really cool, especially if you have a family, because most parents like to sit upstairs, have a drink, have a beer. I do serve cocktails as well, but have a beer and or whatever, and a glass of wine, and then send their kids downstairs, and the kids can go play. I have foosball, I have air hockey, I have their old school video games, but the kids still seem to enjoy them, like Pac-Man,
Hmm.
Galaga. I don't know what else is down there, but
Sure.
anyway, there's a lot of games down there, so it's a lot, and we have board games as well, so the family can go and get a board game. I've seen that happen before, so it's pretty fun place, and we have a TV downstairs with the it's more of a living room setting if you're just wanting to come here, maybe watch a big game, or it doesn't really matter to me, but whatever you
Sure.
want to watch, downstairs can be pretty private. You turn the sound on and just watch, what whatever you're going on. If you want a movie, I have a lot of them, so you can just put that on.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to, come in and do like a party and lease stuff out, do you do those kind of things or is it always just kind of open for anybody?
We lease out for sure. I mean, I've leased this out most significantly for like anniversary parties, birthday parties. We've had a couple of conferences come in and want to do it. I want to say we're one of the cheaper places in town to lease out.
Okay.
Typically, we'll in that price, we'll typically try to find some food options for you. But we are definitely, I would say, from you know, but I still charge for the beer is the thing. But we do, we do try to make it as hospitable as we can possibly make it for people who want to rent it out.
Sure. So I've done this a few times for some of my past clients, where I've rented out a space and then had kind of like a semi-educational kind of a fun event. And would that be something that you guys could do if I said, "Hey, we would love for you to give us an education on beer, whether it's either the brewing or the tasting or differences between the different kinds of beer," and do something like that? Is that something you guys could do?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Are you still there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Someone's trying to call me right now.
Hey, you're fine.
Um, but yes, we. Yeah, I would. I've never done that before, but I would absolutely love to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we did that with 477 a couple years ago, and they kind of had like a whiskey tasting slash, cocktail making class. And we just rented out the whole space. I had probably 20 people that showed up for it, and it was fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, cocktails are more fun to make than. I mean, beer is a 2 week long process, but I've been to
Yeah,
breweries that have actually offered that before. So, well, I keep doing that.
yeah.
Point being, yeah, I would absolutely love to do that if people are interested for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it could be something where it's like, well, we may not have the facilities or ability to learn how to make it from A to Z because, we're not going to do a 2 week class. But, if we said, hey, here's the, uh, the brew, most of the way done, and here's how we finish it. Or it could just be, here's the different kinds of beer, your lagers, your ales, and all the rest. And, things like that I think that would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. I have to figure out in my head how to work that, but I do have a one barrel pilot system downstairs. So,
Yeah.
and I can even do a half batch on that. So we could do 15 gallons of something. So the brew day is about 5 to 6 hours long. So
Sure.
it gets a little for some people, but the cocktail classes are, and you don't want to learn how to make cocktails from me. And not that I make bad cocktails. It's just, they're very simplistic.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking that may be something fun down the road, but
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've been to breweries that have done that before, and it's been a lot of fun. So
yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a nice facility there. If somebody wants to bring their kids and say, hey, you guys go downstairs and play some games, mom and I are going to stay upstairs and have a beer or wine or a cocktail. That's definitely pretty appealing to people like me with a bunch of kids. Um, but then, I mean, I think people are also a lot of times looking for spaces that they can do anniversary parties or birthday parties or, uh, rent it out for a game or something. And, uh, knowing that that's available, I think is pretty good. And so you mentioned having a partnership kind of with UNC. Talk to me a little bit about that. What does that look like for you?
well, we lease the equipment from UNC is basically that. And what else was I going to say? Oh, well, so Sean, the head brewing professor at UNC, he was the one that trained me on that equipment. And I mean, I don't want to say we work together, but he has helped us out a lot.
Sure.
And so he's got one beer here that was kind of his recipe. It's all. I mean, my hand is in everything for sure, but
Sure.
so I guess that's as deep as it goes. Is that Sean helps me out at the brewery,
Mhm.
and we love Sean. Sean's a great guy. I'm not. We love everything that he gives us. but it's not a formal relationship with
That
UNC.
makes sense.
Other than that, I just brew beer there.
Gotcha. I didn't even know that UNC had a brewing class, to be honest with you.
They do, and I think if you were to meet Sean and to look at the class, you would be pretty impressed. It's
Yeah.
Sean
Oh,
knows his stuff, and it's a great
hmm.
yeah, for anybody. Look, I'm not just saying this because I'm a part of it and because Sean's a friend of mine. I'm saying this because Sean's taught me a lot, and it just I've never taken the course, but it seemed like an extremely great place to go to learn to make beer. And a lot of people have come out of their class and work for major breweries. I mean, a very good friend of mine works for Left Hand now, and well, they go by they, but they're writing recipes and doing incredible work over there.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. So, what kind of beer? I mean, what do you have on tap that you guys have brewed? You talked a little bit about some of the stuff you had. If somebody comes in, what options do they have?
Right now our tap line is probably 98% full. I can here, I'll show you the menu.
Yeah.
See if I can get a good picture of this, but well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Um, I have the English ale, which is a very mild, so that's about 4.5% ABV. And then, so that's going to be a very traditional, very light, very easily drinking beer. Citra Pale Ale, which again, that is my number one selling beer. It's 5.2. That's going to be on the lighter side uh, of things. It is still pretty hoppy because it's done with 100% Citra hops, but most of them are late editions, so you're going to get more juice out of it than you are bitterness.
Okay.
We have an Irish red, which is very malty but not overly sweet. We have a Scottish, which is very malty and pretty sweet. We have a sweet stout, but there's no residual sugar added to that. What we did on that beer is we just took the way up and used sweet grains. So it's going to come off, to me, it comes off more milk chocolatey and just, again, for a stout, it doesn't have that big of a mouthfeel, so it's pretty easy drinkable. The interesting one I have is an Imperial Lager, which is at 6.9%, which is pretty high for this brewery.
Yeah.
And another brewer that was in here described it to me as lager candy. And then I have a 12-hour IPA, which that's a very well balanced IPA. It's not overly hoppy. It's a little bit hazy. It's just a very well balanced, very traditional IPA, except that it's a tiny bit hazy.
Gotcha. Well, you have a pretty good selection there.
We also do seltzers. Did I mention seltzers?
No. Yeah.
We do seltzers, and what we do with our seltzer is we just make a generic. I don't want to say generic. Everything that we have on tap is made here. So I make the seltzer, and it's a craft seltzer, but we don't add any flavoring to it. And then so what we do is we have all these different flavorings back here, and you can really mix it up. Like I had somebody order a ginger peach salsa the other day, which sounded like
Okay.
really refreshing to me. But we have all kinds of different flavors back there, so you can mix and match and do your creative work with the seltzer.
Okay. So you make the seltzer yourself,
I
and
do.
then people come in and they order whatever flavor they desire.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We
Oh,
have
that's pretty cool.
we have a lot of crazy things to put in a seltzer.
Huh. Yeah, I may have to check that out. I know my wife really likes a seltzer, and she has a very defined taste on what she likes, and so she probably would like to pick out, her own flavorings and
Cool.
the rest. So I may have to check that out. Cool. And so if somebody comes in and, maybe the husband likes beer and he wants to try that, but the wife's not really into that, it sounds like you still have other options, stuff you don't necessarily make, but if they want a cocktail, if they want wine, they have those options as well.
Yes, yes, we do. And I'm told, I don't know that I believe this, but I'm told that I make a pretty good margarita.
Oh,
But I
oh,
don't. I mean, margaritas is not something but people drink them and they like them, so
that's good.
that's all I care about.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean,
I
it's very subjective, but
hate making them, but yeah.
okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, sounds like you've got a great place there. I'm certainly gonna put it on my calendar to stop by and check you out. As far as hours of operation, what are your typical hours, days?
We are open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 4 to 9. According to, I mean, that's what we have our hours on Google. Saturday we open at 1 and we stay open till 9. Sunday we're open at 1 and we stay until people leave. Basically,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
we
That could
are
be
very
dangerous.
hard. We're going to work. Hopefully next month we're going to be open on Mondays, but we won't be open this Monday for sure because I got a lot of
Yeah,
work to do. But
yeah.
we're trying hard.
Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds good. So Wednesday through Sunday essentially is kind of the days you're open, and then hours kind of vary a little bit. But um, all right. Well, anything else you want to say about what you guys got going on over there, and that you think people would find interesting?
Uh it's a people call it the Cheers of Greeley.
Okay.
And so I'll
Cheers.
say it's a very community friendly place. And very, 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 very rarely do weird things happen here.
Okay.
So you're gonna be here. I promise.
Okay. Well, we will certainly come check you guys out, and in the meantime, keep making good beer and serving the people here in Greeley, because I know we certainly appreciate that.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for this, and this has been fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on.